Hey, 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 happy Tuesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, incredibly enough, thegaminggang.com, which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard. Tonight is Tuesday, May 9th, 2023. This is live stream 917. If you are joining me, you're not familiar with the Gaming Gang Dispatch, let me point out, super casual around here, just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news, and more often than not, we will take a first look at a game. Sometimes I'll do reviews live, but for the most part, it's usually first looks. And we're going to continue our coverage of the Lord of the Rings role-playing for 5e D&D from Free League Publishing tonight. And we're going to do a double dip because we are going to take a peek at Shire Adventures. So we are going to dive in. I'm going to do a page through of this. And then as a bonus, we're going to take a peek at the Loremasters screen, which also features a Rivendell supplement inside. So we will be taking a peek at that tonight. Yes, it arrived in stores today. In fact, if you missed it, last night we were taking a peek at the core book, the Lord of the Rings role-playing. And I got to point out, before we go any further, somebody had commented on the video that I moved through this too quickly. They didn't get a chance to see the spine. I was going to say, I spent, 40 minutes looking at the book. So I don't know how much more time I could have devoted to it, unless I read it out loud. So they were curious if the spine was squared or rounded. It is rounded. And they were kind of curious about the binding. So when we take our first look at Shire Adventures, I will show you a closer look at the binding. The Shire Adventures seems to be more of a kind of squared off bind. So the spine is more square, I guess I should say. So there is that. You know, if you ask me a question, I do my best to respond. Anywho, should point out, if you are tuning in live, so you can check out Shire Adventures, it's probably going to be about 35, maybe 40 minutes before we get to that, because here on the Dispatch, we do tackle the tabletop gaming news first. So if you are watching live, hopefully you're a subscriber to the channel, because that's going to give you something to occupy your time if you're not overly enthusiastic about tabletop gaming news, which you should be. But I should also mention you got to be a subscriber for 48 hours. I'll get to that in just a bit. But if you are watching this 30 minutes or more after the show has ended, there will be timestamps. So you can jump past the tabletop gaming news if you'd like. So those timestamps are located in the show notes, and depending on the device you might happen to be watching this on, timestamps could be right there in the timeline of the video. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you will not find here on the YouTube channel. And of course, get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Come on, you know the drill, how it works. Also should point out, stay tuned because I am going to share how you can win. In fact, I'm going to give it away tonight. A copy of Lord of the Rings Roleplaying and Shire Adventures in PDF. The Loremaster screen is not available in PDF yet. So stay tuned. You must be watching because I'm going to give it away live. Going to give those both away to a lucky viewer. Lastly, speaking of viewers, since this is a live stream, there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you want to say howdy, maybe you've got a question, a comment, maybe there's something about Shire Adventures you want to get a closer look at, by all means, chime in. I will do my best to respond. Should also mention, you have to be a subscriber for 48 hours or more to take part in chat. First out the gate tonight was Mel Winius from York. Kathy Evans is with us. Once again, Kathy, you won the Dungeon Crawl Classics Dying Earth box set PDF. So please shoot me an email at jeffmclear@thegaminggang.com from the email address that is associated with your YouTube account, and I will make sure to get that to you. Roger Perdome is with us, as is Flaming Huron. He's one of our chat moderators from across the pond in Australia. John Mescola is also hanging with the gang, as is Coco B and JC. Flaming Huron points out, you can never please everyone. So Coco B says, now someone will complain you're showing off the spines of books. I got to be honest, I thought that was a little odd myself. But they did indicate, because I had mentioned how thick the paper stock was, they're kind of curious how the binding would be, so how well it would hold up. Because I mentioned I personally felt that it would hold up very well at your game table. So, and I got to be honest, I've never had a Free League Publishing book fall apart on me. Got to be honest. Gots to be honest. All right, so let's jump on into the news. But first off, James Eck is also hanging with us. Welcome aboard. So, Direwolf Digital has announced a new board game. It is from the designer of Clank, a deck-building adventure, and Dune Imperium. Nice. Here's the scoop on Wild Tiled West. A frontier of hardworking critters and cheatin' varmints awaits in Wild Tiled West. Draft tiles to build new towns across the prairie and help your settlement grow. Defend the citizens from no-good routin' outlaws. Strike it rich in the mines or risk it all at the card table. The West is wilder than ever, and it'll take clever strategy and a bit of luck to come out on top. Saddle up and ride off into the Wild Tiled West. Wild Tiled West is for 1 to 5 players, ages 13 and up, plays in around 45 to 90 minutes. It's going to carry an MSRP of $65 when it arrives this summer. So as I mentioned, same game designer as Clank, a deck building adventure, which we love, and Dune Imperium, which was one of my favorite games of the year when it came out in, was it 2022? Was it just this past favorite video of the, I don't know. It's been a little while. No, I gotta be honest. I think it was 2021, but it is also excellent. So I'm very intrigued. And if you follow the Gaming Gang, you know I'm a sucker for tile laying games. But here's the thing. I am not a huge fan of anthropomorphic animal characters in board games, unless it's specifically part of the theme, right? So if it's a fantasy world, or it's people have been cursed by the Fae, things along those lines, yes. I personally think this would be better served, even if they still wanted to stick with a cartoonish look, if they had just gone with, just regular human beings in it. So I don't see why this has those anthropomorphic characters. Don't know. I don't know. Now, that would not deter me from checking this out by any stretch of the imagination. It's just sort of, I think this would probably do better if it didn't have those characters. If it was just a Wild West, right? With, if you want to have Yosemite Sam-ish character styles and that, sure, of course. So we've got Hector Alvarez and Kevin R. Smith are both hanging with the gang. Welcome. So Hector says, regards from Mordor, Argentina. Wow. Very nice. Welcome aboard. I got to be honest, I don't think we have viewers who chimed in from Argentina as of yet. I know we've got the Amazon. I know we've got Australia. We got quite a few people who watch from Canada. I think we've got one or two folks who are over in England. But I think this is our first Argentinian chiming in. Sweet. So that is a very odd segue into my next news piece. Because currently up on the GMT Games P500 pre-order list is the Guerrilla Generation. Here's what I know. The Guerrilla Generation Cold War Insurgencies in Latin America is the second coin multi-pack containing 4 separate games exploring a series of thematically related insurgencies. Building on the British way, this new multi-pack allows players to explore variations in insurgent groups, organizational structures, strategies, and relationships with civilians across 4 insurgencies in Central and South America between 1968 and 1992. During this part of the Cold War era, Latin America experienced an incredible number of different insurgent groups, many inspired by the Cuban Revolution featured in Cuba Libre, which I think, in my opinion, is probably, I would say that's probably my favorite coin game. And I think it's the easiest to get people introduced into the series. Anyway, many were inspired by the Cuban Revolution, ranging from popular-backed rural insurgencies, flexible urban guerrillas, externally sponsored raiders, and brutal ideology-rigid groups. This multi-pack features a game exemplifying each of these types of insurgencies to offer players the chance to compare different approaches to rebellion. 4 games included in the multi-pack cover conflicts in Uruguay, Nicaragua, El Salvador, and Peru. The Nicaragua and El Salvador games can also be played in a linked campaign scenario, which combines them into a simultaneous side-by-side experience. The Guerrilla Generation is first and foremost designed to provide an educational experience on the specific conflicts in the pack and to push players to think more broadly about variation in how insurgent groups operate. The design of the games required extensive research, utilizing works by historians, political scientists, area specialists, human rights reports, and local accounts to best capture the strategies of the armed actors in each conflict and their effects on the local population. Armed actors, represented by roles taken on by players, often adopted strategies of intentionally targeting civilians to coerce them to their side or weakening the opposing armed group. The Salvadoran military used scorched earth tactics and systematic bombing of guerrilla zones, as described in the quote above, which I'm sorry I did not see a quote. The military in Uruguay utilized extensive torture to crush the Tupamaros before going on to crush the democracy itself. Insurgents such as the Contras and Shining Path deliberately terrorized civilians to advance their goals. So this is a designer note here. Engaging in an interactive exploration of these strategies can be deeply uncomfortable. However, I would argue that interacting with these strategies is central to understanding the conduct of both these specific historical conflicts and, unfortunately, many contemporary ones. The guerrilla generation is for 2 to 4 players. That 4 players is with that linked campaign. For ages 16 and up, scenarios play out in 2 hours or more. And right now you can pre-order for the P500 pricing of $69. This is going to carry an MSRP eventually of $99. Well, I got to be honest, I have not seen The British Way. I haven't. I don't know if it's out yet. And to be honest, I didn't take a peek at the GMT Games website to see if it was. But I guess that is another multi-pack of coin games. Very interesting. And of course, because of the subject matter, it is aimed at a far more mature gamer than most board games, or probably quite a few war games out there as well. Quantum Phase Dragon is hanging out with us. Welcome back. So let's move on to some role-playing game news, because now available from Onyx Path Publishing, which we were actually talking about Onyx Path last night, comes Trinity Continuum Adventure. I don't know why I always like to say it like that. Adventurer. Regardless, here's what I know about adventure. Don't try to pin my success on mind reading, kid. Nothing beats hard work and worn souls for getting to the bottom of a good story. I was a success well before I covered the Hammersmith affair. The only thing that's done for me is make the world a much more exciting place to get a scoop. That's a quote from Helen Perkins, mesmerist. Fictional mesmerist, of course. Trinity Continuum Adventure is a game of pulp action and daring, you guessed it, adventure. Over a decade ago, an explosion at a private science debut created a ripple across the world. The year is now 1934, and the inspired people with extraordinary abilities contend with unnatural threats, explore strange wonders, and vie to shape the oncoming 21st century. Take on the role of a brave hero and embark on your next great adventure. Inside Trinity Continuum Adventure, you'll find information about the 3 inspired character types: daredevils, mesmerists, and stalwarts. Details about the world in the 1930s viewed through a pulp lens. There are updated story path rules and character creation information for inspired characters, story guide advice on how to run various pulp genres, and of course, I should also mention, this does require the Trinity Continuum core rulebook in order to play. The 296-page hardcover is available for $49.99. It is a print on demand. Or you can score the PDF alone for $24.99 over at DriveThruRPG. So I have to say, this seems like it's got a little bit of some influence from George R.R. Martin's Wild Cards. Or I guess I should say George R.R. Martin was the editor of that series. So, He's not really the author, although I think he wrote some of the stories that are in the compendiums, I guess we'll say. They're short, they're essentially they're shared universe novels. Some of them were stories, some were full-length novels. It's been a while since I read any new Wild Cards releases, but I used to love that series. I thought that was fantastic. I don't know how many of you out there have read Wild Cards, but big thumbs up, at least on the early, like first 10 books that came out. They were all excellent. So this is available now, and this sounds kind of cool. I like pulp. I like pulp adventures. Kind of, it's one of the things that I tend to utilize in my Call of Cthulhu adventures. I don't overdo it. So my Call of Cthulhu adventures are much closer to Call of Cthulhu as opposed to pulp Cthulhu. But I do throw a little pulp action in there from time to time. Ziggy's 7800 Pro is in chat. Welcome aboard. I think this might actually be Ziggy's first appearance with us in chat. Make yourself at home. Moving right along, Blackoath Entertainment has released a new high fantasy role-playing game. Here's the skinny on Rift Breakers. Rift Breakers is a fantasy role-playing tabletop game for one or more players. Within it, you take control of a single character and embark on all sorts of adventures, undertaking challenges that will see you traveling the land of Cathor, which is being besieged by strange magic storms that unleash terrible monsters in their wake. Rift Breakers provides a complete toolkit for enjoying a wide variety of fantasy playstyles, with a focus on adventurous high fantasy styles of storytelling. It covers character creation, spells and magic, encounters and combat, monsters and treasure, and all the assorted game mechanics necessary to recreate the feeling of a massively multiplayer role-playing game, but analogically. This means that all the standard elements found in games such as World of Warcraft or The Elder Scrolls Online are here. Randomly generated loot, detailed crafting, dungeons, and meaningful character progress. Meaningful character progress in an MMO? I don't know about that. I don't know. I played a little World of Warcraft, and I don't know. It sure didn't feel very meaningful to me when I'd level up. That's why I stopped playing it. Anyway, it also provides all the necessary tools, such as oracles and dozens of random tables, to play the game without the need for a game master, which means you can easily play the game by yourself or co-op with friends. Rift Breakers features a D100 rule set, quick to learn and master. Within it, you'll find rules for all sorts of magical abilities and savage melee combat, exploration, crafting, and more. Classless character creation, with progress built around what you focus on learning and what gear you equip. Want to be a deadly warrior, a cunning thief, or a master of the elements? It's up to you. There's MMO-like gameplay with random loot, encounters, difficulty tiers, quality levels, crafting, and more. It's a strange yet familiar world, full of unique variations of the most common fantasy tropes. Explore the town of Karhilos and save it from the unrelenting attacks of magical beasts and other threats. There are robust solo tools that allow you to play the game without a game master, either solo or co-op. If you're a GM wanting to run a Rift Breakers game, life couldn't be easier. Use the dozens of random encounter, travel, and rift exploration tables to instantly create an adventure for your players on the fly. There's also an expansive bestiary with over 880 unique monsters, each one of them with their own action table to determine how they act in their turn, and their own loot table to see what your character gains after slaying them. There are random quests, dungeons, and encounters to ensure a limitless replayability. The 300-page hardcover of Rift Breakers is available for $35, or you can grab the PDF for just $15 at DriveThruRPG. I gotta say, this sounds interesting. Number one, I would not have named this Rift Breakers because first thing that pops into my mind, and I would assume popping into many other gamers' minds is, oh, it's Rifts. It's Palladium. Which of course it's not. So Madman has joined us in chat saying they're stopping on by to say hello. They're dealing with a leaking refrigerator. Damn, that sucks. Having to move everything out of the fridge to the old fridge. And of course, tomorrow night is the Madman's gaming night. So we will see the Madman next week. Well, good luck with that fridge. Christopher Rush is also popping on in. Also, sweet. Did I just say Christopher Rush is also popping in also? Oh my gosh. Okay, so damn. So remember, I keep talking about the spiders. Well, I don't keep talking about it. It was too cold to have them. So last night I saw 3. And one almost came down where you would have at least seen something on screen. I think it's the same spider back again. And he's a pretty good size with his legs. And he looks like he's going to actually walk on the camera. He may actually walk over the lens. Or will he? Well, I'll tell you what. I actually have some peppermint spray, which I have brought downstairs here to spray. I didn't do it today. To kind of try to keep the spiders at bay. I don't think it kills them. I think they just don't like it, which is what I'm looking to do. Anywho, I was going to say I wouldn't have used Rift Breakers as the title for this. And I don't know. I mean, I'm sure this is for people who really love like Elder Scrolls and World of Warcraft, things like that. I'm sure they'll dig the whole like loot drops and stuff like that. To me, this just feels really random. They're really focused on the randomness of it. And for me, I tend to find a lot of randomness in role-playing games just don't make for memorable experiences. They really don't. I mean, that's just my opinion. I'm not saying that you have to plot everything out, but random adventures tend to play out pretty randomly. But I did want to share this because this does seem pretty interesting, and I think there are some folks out there who'd be very interested in taking a peek. My final news piece, fans of the Cthulhu mythos and role-playing games should take note because the latest issue of Bayt al Azif has arrived. I've got the dope. The magazine dedicated to adventuring against the Cthulhu mythos continues. Issue number 5 includes 2 adventures, dual-statted for Call of Cthulhu 7th edition and Cthulhu Dark, as well as, kind of a bonus here, Pirateburg, you know, the pirate game using the Mietburg rule set. Interesting. A group of vassals investigate disappearances during the Trojan War. So there you go. You got an ancient Greece adventure. And a pirate crew tries to ride out a hurricane. So those 2 adventures together take up about, I think, 36 pages is what I'm seeing. There's also an overview of every Cthulhu Mythos role-playing game release of 2021. So, going back a little ways, There's discussion of vampires in Cthulhu Mythos games. Interviews with John Scott Tynes and Shane Ivey of Delta Green and Art Dream Publishing. There's an interview with Shanna Germain and actually I think it's pronounced Shauna, if I remember correctly. Germain and Sean K. Reynolds of Consent in Gaming. There's advice, history, comics, and more. The 120-page magazine is available in hardcover, which kind of makes it a book as opposed to a magazine, for $25. Or you could grab just the PDF alone for $10 at DriveThruRPG. This is something that I've heard good things about. I've heard good things about this zine. And I think it's like every year-ish they come out with a new issue. I don't think it's a very frequent magazine, because I could have swore I have shared news about I'm trying to remember. It's Bayt al Azif. So I know I shared news piece before about probably their last issue, but it's probably been more than a year. Alrighty then. So that is the tabletop gaming news tonight. Of course, I have been talking about DriveThruRPG. Don't forget, the gaming gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit, say, DriveThruRPG, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. It's like looking for the spider, and suddenly I had an itch on my nose. Yes, I get a small portion of that sale. I get a small portion of that sale, and all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like this video, hopefully you'll give it a thumbs up, maybe even comment in the comment section, because that helps with the engagement. But if you like this video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always stop by paypal.me/thegaminggang and make a small donation. And thankfully, there are a lot of people out there who either or use the banner ads and paypal.me. So thank you very kindly, everyone. It is much appreciated. The Warwolf is with us. Coco B says, s'mores. The gang is going camping. Actually, funny enough, it's like, why do I keep stop? It's like my nose is like itching. It's like, stop it. Cut it out. Anyway, Coco B says, s'mores, gang's going camping. My nephew Cameron is coming back from camping today. He went on Monday. He left on, no, I think it was Sunday, actually, he went to go camping. So today was a very nice day. So I would think they enjoyed today. Yesterday was awful. Yesterday was total crap in the Chicago area. That's why I was wearing a hoodie in that. It was like low 50s. It was like rain. Lousy. Anyway, so something I want to mention before we jump on into taking a look at Shire Adventures, and it's not tabletop gaming related, it's actually PC gaming related. But there are a couple of titles. One just came out yesterday. Well, I guess it's officially released now. And I want to say the other came out about a week or two ago. It may have come out while I was on my, my break, my week-long break. So we've got Age of Wonders 4. Yes, and a lot of people are saying it's excellent. And Darkest Dungeon 2, which I love Darkest Dungeon. Especially after they tweaked it a little bit so that you didn't have to sit there and make the same dungeon runs with 4 different parties. So. Roger Perdome says it's a happy day for Chicago if you're a hockey fan. Yes, I did see that. The Blackhawks are getting the first pick. I got to say, I think this is the first time in the history of Chicago sports that the Chicago Bears and the Chicago Blackhawks, or probably 2 Chicago sports teams, both had the first pick in their respective drafts. Even though the Bears traded theirs away. So Flaming Aaron says, what? You don't like doing the same thing multiple times? I didn't mind it the first couple, because if you have not played Darkest Dungeon, it is not an easy game. It is really engrossing. I really enjoyed it quite a lot. I have not had an opportunity to check out Darkest Dungeon 2 yet. I'm going to get it, but I heard some people like it quite a lot, or at least the early access. And other people were not, I guess, overly thrilled with it because it's different than Darkest Dungeon. So I don't know. Flaming Heron says, better not play any roguelikes then. You know, and the funny thing is, I don't mind roguelikes. It's just once I've completed something in a roguelike, I don't want to have to tackle the same thing again just in order to win the game. Once I've completed what I'm supposed to do, I mean, as long as it's not something that just takes a few hours, I expect that to be it. I've won. Thank you. Yes, I'm the winner. But as the updates came out for Darkest Dungeon, they sort of tweaked the difficulty a little bit, and then they got away from, I should say, that whole, oh yeah, you gotta have 4 separate groups actually succeed in order to win the game. I was like, because in Darkest Dungeon, your characters are a wreck. There's only so much adventuring they could take. And it's kind of Lovecraftian, and I like the art style and everything. So I'm going to check it out. I'm probably going to check out Age of Wonders 4 as well, even though I've never played any Age of Wonders. I know, shocking, isn't it? Most of my 4X gameplay is historically based, I guess we'll say, because as I've mentioned before, I like the Paradox games out there like Europa Universalis 4, and then Civilization, of course. Although I haven't checked out some of those newer Civs, like Civ-style games like Humankind and Old World, although I have heard good things about those. So I was just kind of piqued my interest. So I figured I'd just share that with you. So Flaming Heron says, well, it's the game loop, unfortunately. I can understand that feeling, though. Yes. Flaming Heron asks, Crusader Kings 3? I have messed around with it a little bit, but I have not taken a deep dive into Crusader Kings 3. I will probably at some point. I don't play as many PC games as I once did, and I certainly don't play as often, seeing that I've got, I don't know, other things that need to be taken care of. You know, you got to read these RPG books to review them. So there is that. All right, so we are going to be taking a look at the Lord of the Rings role-playing Shire Adventures in just a couple of moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
I'm Rodeo Joe, big star of the show. Oh, I'm strong and I'm spry, yippee-yay, yippee-yi, 'cause I drink T-O-D-D-Y.
Yes, Toddy, the chocolate malt in a can that tastes as good or better than the kind you get at your favorite soda fountain. Made with rich, real milk, not powdered milk.
Man, oh man, it's toddy for me.
Me too.
Me 3.
Yes, cold or hot, it hits the spot. So toddle to the bar, take it back to the car, get that chocolate malted toddy. Toddy pleases everybody.
Mmm, delicious.
Give me the eggs and no Wilkins coffee.
Give him the eggs, boys. A meal without Wilkins is a mess.
First you take your hammer, then you aim it straight. Hold it tight, swing it right. Bash! It's great. Oh, it's bash, bash, bash. Brand new Milton Bradley game. Bash, bash, bash. Great new Milton Bradley game. Everybody gets a turn to hit 'em where you choose. But if you're too strong or you hit 'em wrong, bash! You lose. Oh, it's bash, bash, bash. Brand new Milton Bradley game. Bash, bash, bash. Great new Milton Bradley game. Remember, Milton Bradley makes the best games in the world. Get bash, 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 bash,
I like it. Smashing.
bash.
And now, on with the show.
What the hell was that? Are your children psychotic? Buy them bash! And the beginning of that, it's like, is the kid picking up an axe? Doesn't it look like it's a little axe? It's like a hand axe he's picking up. Hey, I'm going to use this to murder my sister. Oh no, I'm just going to play bash. Wow. Totally bizarre. That both those kids just looked like the demon seed. It's like, so in chat, people are like, Jenga goes wild. Yeah, that's pretty bizarre. Kevin says, yep, they didn't record the part where the brother and sister beat each other with a hammer. Yeah, pretty weird. And Wilkins lives. He had a face full of egg, but he lived. So one thing I should mention with a lot of these Wilkins and Wontkins ads that I share with you, when you see the little scene of the coffee after it, most of these I actually add that in because the video file that I've got 2 video files that contain most of the Wilkins and Wonkins commercials that have survived do not actually have that little portion afterwards. They're like sizzle reels, to be honest, if you know what those happen to be. Alrighty then. So today we are going to dive on in and take a first look at the Lord of the Rings role-playing Shire Adventures for 5e Dungeons & Dragons from Free League Publishing. This is written by James Michael Spahn, Francesco Nepatello, Michelle Garbugio, and Jacob Rogers, with artwork provided by, get ready, I am going to murder these names, I apologize up front, Alvaro Tapia, Martin Grip, Jan Popsisil, Nicholas Brandt, Henrik Rosenborg, Antonio DeLuca, Federica Constantini, Melissa Spandri, and Judita Betty. At least 3 of those are probably nowhere close. This 102-page hardcover with PDF carries an MSRP of $39.99, or you can grab just the PDF alone over at DriveThruRPG for $19.99. We are also going to be taking a look at the Loremasters screen in just a bit. And if you are tuning in a little bit late, keep watching, because I am going to give away a copy of both Shire Adventures and the Lord of the Rings role-playing in PDF to a lucky viewer. So you must be in chat, and you're going to have to participate through chat in order to be in the running. So the Werewolf asks, where do I get this stuff? Well, I was just about to tell you. So the fine folks over at Free League Publishing provided me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage with you. And I say it all the time. These days, it's important that you know that, because essentially what I'm telling you is no one has paid me to say nice things. That goes for the reviews as well. We are not going to take a look at each and every page, but I do want to give you a good feel for what's in Shire Adventures. If you saw my first look for the One Ring, I think it was also called Shire Adventures off the top of my head. You will see that this is going to be about the same thing. Different stats, of course, but the adventures are the same. Speaking of these being adventures, if you are a player and you are hoping that your Loremaster is going to pick up Shire Adventures, I would definitely recommend tune out now. Although, yes, there is that contest, so I don't know. You got to kind of weigh your options on that. Because even though I am going to remain spoiler-free, because I don't really remember too much peeking through the One Ring Second Edition version of this, because I didn't review it. Someone else reviewed it on the Gaming Gang. For some reason, I thought it was Kevin. Maybe it was Kevin who reviewed it. There's probably going to be some spoilers. We're probably going to see some spoilers, so got to point that out. So, of course, as was mentioned, I think it might have been Coco B, the Shire. It is the home of the famed Fatty Bolger, the world's most famous hobbit, obviously enough, who is so reclusive. They only make appearances very rarely in tabletop games. So, pretty wild. Christopher Rush says, it's Bilbo slipping out to go buy some milk, never to return. No, he's going out for a pack of cigarettes. So the werewolf was asking, no, they were curious where I get the intermission videos. I build them. I put them together. It's just stuff I usually pull off of like YouTube. Kevin says they reviewed the starter set, not the Shire Adventures book, unless this is just the starter set Adventures repackaged. It might be. It very well might be. We'll find out. Let's take a look at the back. Shire Adventures is a 5e supplement for the Lord of the Rings role-playing, offering all you need to take your first steps into Middle-earth and experience the adventures hobbits get up to when they cannot avoid it. Explore the Shire with a thorough description of its 4 farthings and 5 exciting ready-to-play adventures. Fully playable also by taking on the roles of some hobbits whose descendants will go on to do extraordinary things, such as Primula and Rory Brandybuck, Paladin Took, and Bilbo Baggins himself. I think these are the starter set adventures. That's why I was trying to remember. I'm like, was there a One Ring Shire book? I'm like, for some reason I remember it. We're going to find out. So the werewolf likes the intermission videos. Yeah, I throw it in there just so it's a little different. So Kevin says, sounds like the starter set converted to 5e. It very well could be. So we once again get that cool map and nice paper stock. I definitely love the paper stock. And I mentioned this last night when we took a look at the core book, that if you are not a fan of a sheen on your role-playing game books, you're in luck. Speaking of last night, I promised we would take a look. Now, this is not going to be all real well in focus here, because I actually have a locked-in focus on the camera. It won't be too badly out of focus. But there you go. There is the rounded spine of the book, of the core book. My guess is chiming in chat. Welcome aboard. Asking, same paper as the core book? Yes. Same paper. In fact, it's the same pages, man. No, it's just same paper stock. So there you have it, rounded off. This one a little bit, because of course it's a much shorter book. That was wasn't it 236 as far as the page count? So there you go. So if you are curious about the spine, there you have it. Moving right along to the far more exciting stuff. JC is pointing out that Free League, top quality. Yes. Free League does really nice work. There's only been, I think 1 or 2 releases from Free League that I just was not all that keen on. One of them, amazingly enough, was the starter set for Tales from the Loop. I thought it really had nothing to it. So Mike S. says, I hope this is the paper they're going to use for Dragonbane. We're going to see Dragonbane. My contact over at Free League has already pointed that out. All right, so let's see what we've got here. So we're going to get a brief history of the Shire. So we've got a bit of a gazetteer. And then our adventures kick in at page 58, 56 now, 58. So yeah, I honestly think Kevin is correct that these are going to be the adventures from the starter set. And when we see the artwork, we'll know for sure, because I remember some of that artwork from the starter set. Kevin says they're waiting for their copy of Dragonbane from the Kickstarter. So I would think you got your PDF, right, Kevin? Because I know Free League sent me one. Isn't it for sale on DriveThruRPG? Maybe not. Maybe it's not. Maybe that's why I didn't share a news piece about it. I'll have to take a peek. But yes, I had the PDF for Dragonbane was sent to me. Oh, Kevin says, yep, PDF's out. Yeah, I was going to say, I got that like, I don't know, month and a half ago. And usually with Free League stuff, I don't look at their PDFs. I wait until the physical book comes out. So that when I do a first look like this, it's like, oh, hey, what's that? And we can kind of experience it for the first time together. And if I read through the PDF, then it's sort of like, that's cheating. So we have our geography of the Shire. As is known to any hobbit of good sense, the Shire comprises the territories known as the Four Farthings, which are named the North Farthing, the East Farthing, the South Farthing, and, you guessed it, the West Farthing. This covers the whole of the land originally granted to its residents by the king, and it was only after old gore-handed Old Buck grew too cross and his family to be... What? Why did that not read right? So the king grew too cross and his family to be continued, that hobbits moved beyond these traditional borders. I don't know, maybe I'm cracking up. All right, John's got a rock on out. Good to see you. John says they've got a case of the con crud. Oh, that's the worst. That is the absolute worst. I got it once coming back from Gen Con. Usually I don't get con crud, knock on wood. So here we have a breakdown of the various different farthings, the four farthings. And it looks as if we have a bit of an adventure nugget included. So here's theft at the rope factory. A bit of chaos has come to Tightfield. A mob of angry hobbits, led by Andy Roper, surrounds us. Mr. Roper! Surrounds a small isolated farm not far from the rope walk, waving clubs, pitchforks, and torches, and it looks as though they could set the farmhouse ablaze at any moment. But their consternation is easily understood. 3 dwarfs have barricaded themselves inside the besieged farmhouse after becoming the prime suspects in a brazen rope theft from the factory. Damn you, rope thieves! You'll get what you deserve, rope thief. So yeah, so it looks like that's what these little side boxes are. So we're going to go through this. So this is our bit of a gazetteer. And I got to admit that we've got some pretty long kind of little adventure nuggets. So the werewolf says they prefer Mr. Furley. Yeah, well, you know. What can you say? Don Knotts. I mean, how could you not prefer Don Knotts? Was that a ghost? Forgotten Foxglove. At a time when the rivalry between the folk of Deep Hollow, I almost said Deep Shallow, which would be kind of a silly name, right? Oh, it's Deep Shallow. Folk of Deep Hollow and that of Haysend ran deeper. There lived a hobbit girl whose name has been forgotten. She fell in love with a hobbit of Haysend, and the enmity between their families kept them forever apart until she was driven mad by sorrow and walked into the overborne marshes and was never seen again. Some among the more superstitious folk of Deep Hollow claim that she still lingers there, singing a lament for her one true love in hopes of luring him, or any young hobbit foolish enough to be enchanted by her voice, into her arms and to a watery grave. Known by the locals as the Forgotten Foxglove, she wanders the overburnt marshes, her gaze forever cast downward. That's a cool little adventure nugget. I don't think I would have her luring strangers to their graves, though. I think I would try to change that. Make it a little happier. So we've got Buckland. And once again, we have this really, really nice line art. Which, in my opinion, I think that makes this stand out. I think this and the core book really do stand out from other role-playing game releases for 5e, other third-party releases. So I don't think that, I'm not sure if that's a Martin Grip piece or not. It might be. Because in some ways it looks like it, but then here, maybe not. But a lot of times these spreads are Martin Grip. And Martin Grip does artwork for a lot of Free League Publishing role-playing games. All right, so now we are going to get into the adventures. A conspiracy most cracked. So we also have pre-generated characters. Mad Baggins is at it again and has gathered in Bag End a new cabal of adventurous spirits whom he has named the Conspirators of the Red Book, the player heroes. In an effort to gather notes for his book, he has asked these friends, under promise of payment and a bit of adventure, to help him confirm some important details about the history of the Shire and its people. First and most important item is a map of the Shire that is kept locked away in the Matham House at Delving, which he believes was sketched by none other than the old Took himself. These conscripted conspirators will need to travel there, slip past any watch without arousing suspicion, and pilfer the ancient map before returning to Bag End. Kevin Smith says yes. Starter set adventures, and that they ran this first one at a local con last month. That's pretty wild. If I remember correctly, Kevin's review mentioned that the starter set wasn't necessarily a great fit for newcomers to the hobby. And that was the One Ring second edition, of course. There is no starter set for the Lord of the Rings role-playing. So if I remember off the top of my head. So Christopher Rush said, there's the rap master Tom Bombadil a few pages back. Yes, we were talking about Tom Bombadil last night. Ziggy says, don't follow the lights. As Christopher pointed out, that the ghost hobbit, those gloomy goth hobbits, huzzah! Most excellent fireworks. Once again, the affairs of the Shire and those of Gandalf the Grey seem to be entwined. To better understand the nature of the Grey Pilgrim's wizardry, and for a bit of fun, Bilbo asked the conspirators to find out what became of the last of Gandalf's fireworks left over from the old Took's birthday parties. The conspirators must travel to the Yale and discover what became of them. Involuntary postman. No trouble goes unnoticed in the Shire, and the Bounders have finally decided to take action against the conspirators and their ongoing mischief. Oh, you mischievous players, you. By order of the sheriffs, Bilbo Baggins' Hobbit collaborators have been sentenced to cleaning the cold storage and wine cellar underneath the town hall at Mickle Delving. But the sympathies of an overworked member of the Quick Post and the promise to deliver a letter clear across the Shire to Brandy Hall, could earn them early release and a new adventure to boot. So Kevin says, yep, not for new GMs. They felt an experienced game master could introduce new players, but a rookie GM could have some problems. Christopher says, hey, I'm totally okay with this being a remix of The One Ring. That way, if I go on one, I won't feel like I'm missing out on anything. Hey, Tom Sawyer's in this. Sweet. Very nice. So I wonder, is he swinging a dead rat on a string? Hey, Tom, could I help paint that fence, man? It just looks like so much fun. So I was going to say, there really isn't any issue with this being the same adventures from the One Ring second edition starter, because you're looking at two completely different audiences. So the people are picking this up for 5e. The vast majority of them weren't picking up the One Ring second edition anyway. Now, we did discuss this last night, that I do know for a fact when Middle-earth Adventures was with Cubicle 7 Entertainment, it far outsold the One Ring. And I had mentioned I thought it was kind of strange that the One Ring would get releases first, and then 8 months to about a year later, that same release would come out ported over to 5e. And I didn't mention this last night, but the reason why I think that was the case was that the great majority of the design work that was being done for Tolkien-based role-playing with Cubicle 7 was done for the One Ring. So Francesco Nepatello and is it Marcus Maggi? I think the last name is Maggi. They were the two. And you know what? I think we have like Marco Maggi. I think they were doing a lot of the design work for the original edition of the One Ring with some help. And then that was being ported over to 5e. That is my guess why, even though the 5e far outsold the One Ring, that the One Ring stuff came out first. So, Indarius Termina is with us again. Welcome back. Thanks for hanging. So, Werewolf says, yeah, they agree with Christopher. So we have Tasu the Savage Beast. One final favor, and Bilbo will leave his beloved conspirators in peace. He joins them for a visit with young Farmer Maggot. Oh, there you go. A cameo from old Farmer Maggot, who got name dropped last night in chat. Freshly of Bamfurlong, as he is a shrewd farmer with much insight into the misunderstood ways of Bucklanders. But Maggot has his own troubles with the terrible beast from over the high hay, and before long, the conspirators find themselves in the heart of the old forest after dark, and face to face with the true wonder and danger that awaits when simple hobbits move beyond the borders of the Shire. Flaming Aaron says, Farmer Maggot just had to make an appearance. Just had to. I think we're going to finish up with an appendix, or appendices. So I know we've got pre-gen characters. So let's see. That is a Martin Grip piece of artwork. I can tell you right now. There you go. So, Drogo Baggins. Labilia Brace Girdle. Oh, she's going to beat you with that umbrella. Paladin took the second. There's our Tom Sawyer looking character there. Tremua Brandy Buck. Rory Mac Brandy Buck. I think they're brother and sister, if I remember correctly. And then there's Bilbo Baggins. To be honest, I don't think I would let the players play Bilbo. Sorry, I think I'd keep him as an NPC. Just me. Because what do we have? We had 5 pre-gens? everybody knows you don't design role-playing games nowadays for more than 4 players. So Kevin says Labilia will grow up to be a Sackville Baggins. Those bastards. All right, so that is Shire Adventures. Once again, this is available as of today. Came out in stores, carries an MSRP of $39.99, or you can grab just the PDF alone over at DriveThruRPG for $19.99. Now we will take a peek at the Loremaster screen and the Rivendell. I think it's the Rivendell Compendium. Let's see. Oh, it just says Rivendell. Okay, so we will take a peek at that in a sec. But first of all, let's take a look at the Loremaster screen. So it is 4 panels. No, I'm sorry. It is 3. It's 3 panels. Show you the artwork. And then, sorry to say, when we take a look at the other side, I'm going to leave my hand on the panels because I do not want anybody freaking out that I was sharing the Loremaster screen, because you could print it up off of a screenshot. So we've got magical success, encumbrance, resting, shadow conditions, saving throws against shadow, sources of shadow, shadow path flaws. Yes. Christopher Rush says, ogre butt for their players to stare at. Okay, so we also have council sequence, end of the council, the traveling company, event resolution, journey events. Because I had mentioned last night as we were taking a peek through the core book that really you're not going to see a ton of changes to the 5e mechanics at its core for Lord of the Rings role-playing, that you would see some inclusions of some new systems, because one of the big deals with the One Ring is the journeys. So here is the Rivendell book. Taking a look here. The valley known as, here we go, I'm getting ready to mispronounce more stuff here. Valley known as Imladis, I don't know. Elvish for deep valley of the cleft, is the secret kingdom of the elves that has endured for thousands of years. For those who find their way to it, Rivendell promises peace and recovery, plus lore and advice. Its master, Elrond Half-Elven, is a great healer and Loremaster, and a stalwart foe of the enemy. And of course, we have that famed warrior Galadriel, or at least that's what she is in the Amazon series. So we get a bit of an overview. We get our stat blocks. Well, maybe we get the stat blocks at the end of this. But we are getting our important NPCs. The High Elves. So this is actually pretty short. This is 11 pages. Sweet. So that comes with the Loremaster screen. And that is the Rivendell book. So the Werewolf says, half elf. Are we allowed to say that anymore? Yeah, we're allowed to say it here. Ziggy says we don't speak of prime. Indara says, Imlaris. Thank you kindly. Like I said, it's my thing. I just love to mispronounce fictional people and places. All right. Anyway, once again, this is available This came out today as well. It is not out in PDF, but it carries an MSRP of $29.99. I'll be very honest, I think that's pretty pricey for a Loremasters screen and 10 pages, 11 pages of content. So, just my opinion. Alrighty then. So, I'm going to swing back on over to the other camera. So, as I mentioned before, I am going to do a contest. So, my guest says, yes, I'm here for the mispronunciation. You have absolutely come to the right place. I treat English as if it's a second language. So, I am going to be giving away a copy of the core book for Lord of the Rings role-playing and Shire Adventures in PDF. PDFs, I guess I will say. And here's my question. I'm going to just randomly select a winner. But you have to answer a question in chat. So, and I will only give about 2 minutes or so for people to type in an answer. And it is outside of Sauron. Or should I mispronounce that? Outside of Sauron. You know, the eye, the lidless eye. Coco B said they're here for spiders in case Shatner shows up. He's too old to take on spiders. Actually, when I was a kid, I liked that movie. I didn't think it was that bad. That was a halfway decent movie. Anyway, so here's the question. Outside of Sauron, who is your favorite villainous character in Tolkien's work? Or works, I guess I shall say. So, let me know in chat. So, and Darius says, what's a quote? English is my first language. I'm still learning. I have not heard that before. But yes, I say that all the time. I treat English as if it's a second language. And it's funny because, all right, Game Master's Hobby's with us. And you can repeat the same answer. It's okay. It's not like, oh no, everybody's got to be different. So, Game Master's Hobby is with us, says Soderman. Coco B, Shelob, or Shelob. A lot of people before the movies would say Shelob. Just like Smaug. Christopher Rush says that's their favorite, Smaug. And Darius is going really out there with the mother of Shelob. Oh, there we go. Flaming Heron with the Witch King of Angmar. I would think that's probably right there with mine. We've got Gollum. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, because I don't think we're going to have 20 answers, I am going to take a 20-sided die. Let's see, let's go back to the overhead here. All right. Remember we were talking about the Pathfinder beginner box and the dice? This is the 20-sided die from it. All right, so I think we've got all of our answers. I'll give another moment or so. Kevin says, Saruman's good, but he's going to go with Gollum. Ungoliant. Christopher says, a side note, I can't stand how some people act like Gollum and Golem are interchangeable words. Yeah, they're quite different, I must say. Look at that little die. That's a regular 20-sided die. Okay, so here we go. I am going to roll this, and then I'm just going to count down the answers. And if for some reason I roll too high, I'll just roll it again. So Flaming Heron had also pointed out that $29.99 is pretty expensive for a Game Master screen. Hey, you know what? On tomorrow's show, I'm going to share with you the Game Master screen that I put together for my hybrid Kobold Press Castles and Crusades game that I'm going to be running. Okay, so I just have to go to get the first one. Oh, Mark Dandy. James Eck has also chimed in. Yes, so okay, so Game Master's Hobby had our first answer. And, oh, look at that, it's won. So it is Game Master's Hobby. So Game Master's Hobby has won the copy of the Lord of the Rings role-playing 4-5e Dungeons & Dragons. I love saying that because I know Free League Publishing can't. They can always say 5e. I can say Dungeons & Dragons 100 times if I want. It's fair usage, baby. And the Shire Adventures. So what you need to do is you need to send me an email from the email address associated with your YouTube account. So it's your Gmail that's tied into your YouTube account, and I will provide you with those PDFs. Game Master Hobby's like, well, that's me. That was kind of funny. I'm like, oh, our first answer is Game Master's Hobby, and I've rolled the die, and it's like, oh, it's a 1. Which would have been a critical failure for me, which is kind of par for the course if I'm a player. Kathy Evans says, congrats. Once again, Kathy Evans, you won the last contest I did. So be sure to email me. It is Jeff McAleer at thegaminggang.com. All righty, that is it for tonight's show. Tomorrow, we are going to change gears. We're still sticking with role-playing games, which I have continued to decide that we're going to stick heavier to role-playing games. Still some board game coverage. Obviously, there's board game news. And I will still do some first looks and some reviews and stuff. But I even noticed that the role-playing game videos get a good number more views than the board game stuff. So, and I've said it time and time again, there are just so many people out there covering board games that it's just, go take a look at a popular Kickstarter for a board game and you'll see 20 preview videos, and half of them or more, you're like, who the hell is that? I don't know who the hell that is. So Christopher says, people who chronically roll crit ones need to play the 2D20 system family of games. Yeah, because it's low roll. Actually, low roll is also how my little game that I was designing, I don't know if I'm going to keep that series up because the last video didn't pull in that many views. That was roll under your attribute, so it was a roll low too. Anyway, tomorrow we are going to dive on in and take a first look at Star Trek Adventures Shackleton Expanse. Wonder if there's going to be a guest appearance by Kenneth Branagh in this. Anyway, this is from our friends over at Modifius Entertainment. We're going to jump on in. This is a campaign for Star Trek Adventures. Pretty excited. Pretty excited. I think this is more like sandbox-ish, though, which is fine, which is all right. Cool. All righty. So, oh, and then again, next week, it's going to be Cyberpunk Red Week all week long. So stay tuned for that. In fact, we're going to be taking a look at the core rulebook, too. So, JC said it was first time watching live. They enjoyed it. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that. We aim to please. You know, we're all pretty friendly around here. It's, you know, not like some outlets you might encounter. So, Indarius says they forget what the Shackleton Expanse is in the actual lore. I don't know. I have no idea. We'll find out, though. Anyway, if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. I know there are a lot of people out there who watch the stream religiously and they don't thumb up the video. Bad, bad, bad. Tisk, tisk, tisk. So please give it a thumbs up. If you have a chance, leave a comment as well, because that's how we grow the channel, is we show engagement to YouTube. YouTube shares the video with more people. Regardless, thank you very much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ding that bell, because not only is that going to inform you when the Dispatch streams live 3 nights a week here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. Those 3 nights might be changing. That's why I'm saying 3 nights, not Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. If you ding that bell, it'll let you know that, but it'll also tell you when I upload other videos, such as my recent review of Zobek Clockwork City, which I liked a lot, from Cobalt Press. If you were watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, a big tip of the cap to you, because not only do you keep me company, you keep each other company while I'm busy mispronouncing fictional people and places. Come on, that's hard work. But of course, I know a lot of you out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. It doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. I really do appreciate each and every one of you taking time out to watch any of the videos here on the channel. As I mentioned, I will be back tomorrow. And here's hoping each and every one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.
Oh, hey, you're still here. That's okay. You don't have to leave just yet. In fact, why don't you subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel right here, or take a peek at the latest live stream, or even find out what YouTube recommends you check out from the channel. And of course, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks again for watching.